Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm excited to delve into the world of cinema with you today and explore the fascinating movie Malena. This masterpiece takes us back in time to June 10, 1940, where we find ourselves in the charming Sicilian town of Castelcuto. Throughout the course of the movie, we follow the story of Renato, a teenage boy who becomes captivated by the beauty and allure of a woman named Malena. But as the story unfolds, we soon discover that there's more to Malena than meets the eye. So get ready to join me on this journey as we dive into the plot, characters, and themes of this incredible film. Let us get started. The story starts with a vivid description of the small Sicilian town of Castelcuto, where on June 10, 1940, a teenage boy named Renato experiences three life-changing events. As Italy enters World War II, Renato receives a new bike, which brings him newfound freedom and joy. However, his world is forever altered when he lays eyes on the stunning and sensual Malena for the first time. Malena, the most desired young woman in town, is living alone while her husband is away fighting the British in Africa. Her beauty and solitary status make her the object of intense desire for all the town's men, but also the subject of hatred and jealousy from its women. Despite the gossip and slander surrounding her, Malena keeps an eye on her infirm old father who lives alone. However, when her father receives an anonymous note slandering Malena, he rejects her, leaving her completely alone and vulnerable to the malicious rumors that have been circulating about her. The story delves into the themes of jealousy, desire, and betrayal, as Renato finds himself captivated by the stunning beauty of Malena. His infatuation with her quickly turns into an obsession as he begins to spy on her every move, day and night, from the windows of his family's south home across the street from hers. Renato becomes increasingly fixated on Malena's every gesture, from the way she styles her hair to the clothes she wears, as he creates a vivid mental image of her in his mind. Desperate to get even closer to her, Renato starts following her around town, lurking in the shadows and secretly observing her every move. He even goes as far as to steal her underwear from her clothesline, hoping to fulfill his erotic fantasies with her. However, when Renato's parents discover the stolen underwear in his bedroom, they are horrified and upset by their son's disturbing behavior. Realizing the severity of Renato's fixation on Malena, his parents try to intervene and break his obsession with her. Despite their efforts, Renato continues to stalk and spy on Malena, driven by his desire for her. The story takes a dramatic turn when Malena receives the news of her husband's death, which intensifies her feelings of loneliness and despair. As she tries to cope with this loss, rumors begin to circulate about her, accusing her of inappropriate behavior with an unmarried Air Force officer. Despite knowing that such rumors could harm her reputation, Malena unwisely allows the officer to visit her after dark, which only adds fuel to the growing speculation around her. Unfortunately, the situation takes a turn for the worse when Malena is denounced and put on trial, facing false accusations and the scrutiny of her community. In an attempt to clear her name, the Air Force officer sends testimony stating that their relationship was nothing more than occasional friendship. However, despite his efforts, Malena still suffers the hurt and betrayal of his initial involvement in the rumors. As if this was not enough, Malena faces another devastating blow when her advocate, who is supposed to be on her side, visits her and rapes her. This shocking act of violence further deepens Malena's trauma and pain. Renato's decision to become Malena's protector marks a turning point in the story, as he takes it upon himself to defend her against the townspeople who gossip and spread rumors about her. He prays to God and his saints to watch over her and perform small acts of vengeance against those who mistreat her, but he does not fully understand her situation. Renato's perception of Malena is based on his idealized view of her as a beautiful and innocent woman, rather than an understanding of her true character and feelings. Meanwhile, the war reaches Sicily, and the town is bombed by the Allies, causing Malena to suffer yet another devastating loss. Her father is killed in the attack, leaving her penniless and alone in a town that despises her. Despite her desperate circumstances, she is unable to find work and is forced to turn to prostitution to survive. The townspeople view her with even greater disdain, seeing her as a fallen woman rather than a victim of circumstance. As the Nazi forces occupy the town, Renato encounters Malena with 2 German soldiers, and he is so shocked by this sight that he faints. His mother believes that he is possessed by a demon and takes him to a priest for an exorcism, but his father takes a more practical approach and brings him to a brothel. There, Renato fantasizes that the prostitute initiating him is Malena, revealing the depth of his obsession with her. After the German force was forced to leave, the arrival of the American troops in the town is a significant event, one that Malena had hoped would bring an end to her persecution. However, instead of being welcomed as a liberating force, the troops are met with hostility and suspicion from the townspeople. The women, in particular, are enraged by Malena's perceived promiscuity and her association with German soldiers. They storm the hotel where she is staying, physically assaulting her by ripping off her clothes, beating her, and cutting off her hair. This brutal attack leaves Malena traumatized and desperate to escape the town's hostility. To avoid further persecution, Malena leaves the town and travels to the city of Messina. Nino, her husband, survives his time as a prisoner of war but has lost an arm. When he returns to the town looking for Malena, he finds that his house has been taken over by displaced people, and nobody wants to tell him how to find his wife. Renato, who still harbors feelings for Malena, leaves him an anonymous note, letting him know that she still loves him but has suffered misfortunes and gone to Messina. A year later, Malena and Nino return to the town, and the people are surprised to see that she looks more matronly and plain. While she is still beautiful, her status as a married woman has changed the way that people view her. They now see her as a respectable figure rather than a threat. The women who previously beat her in the streets now greet her with politeness and call her madam. As she walks home from the market, some fruit falls from her bag, and Renato rushes to pick it up. He wishes her good luck, and she gives him an enigmatic half-smile, which is the only time they have ever spoken to or looked openly at each other. In the final scenes of the movie, we see an aged Renato sitting alone in a cafe, lost in thought. He gazes at the people passing by, but his mind is clearly elsewhere. As the camera zooms in on his face, we hear his voice in voiceover, speaking of his experiences with women over the years. He reflects that he has known and loved many women in his life, but he has forgotten all of them. He can't remember their faces or their names, or the sound of their voices. They have all faded into obscurity, lost in the fog of his memories. But there is one woman that he can never forget, and that is Malena. Her image is burned into his mind, and he can recall every detail of her face, her voice, and her body. Even after all these years, he still feels the same intense longing and desire for her that. As the camera pans out, we see Renato sitting alone at his table, lost in his thoughts of Malena. The busy streets of the town swirl around him, but he is completely absorbed in his memories of the woman who captivated him so completely so many years ago. It is clear that Malena will always hold a special place in his heart, and that no other woman will ever be able to replace her in his mind.